one of the biggest mistakes I would say is not making mistake.
So, what are some of the non negotiable skills that a fresher should have if he wants to land up a job in this field?
Now, the most important difference between accounting and fund accounting is specialized type of accounting.
Okay, so sir, with AI coming in picture, how do you think will fund accounting change? Hello everyone, I am C. Ishika Khandelwal, a faculty at Imperial School of Banking and Management Studies. Today we have a very special guest with us who has helped many global organizations solve complex data. So, let's welcome Mr. Arpit Mangal, who is a CPA and currently Vice President at Arcesium. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you so much, Ishika.
Okay, so sir, to begin with, let's keep it simple. Many students are aware of the term fund accounting but are not truly actually practically aware of its meaning. So can you just distinguish between normal accounting, fund accounting and fund administration?
Sure, I can do that. So thank you for having me on the podcast today. It is so nice to meet you all once again. Fund accounting is generally accounting for funds, which essentially means that it starts from a point where there is money being pooled to invest. So the investor giving the money, that's also fund accounting. The money that gets invested, that is also, and you need to record for it as to where is it invested, that is also fund accounting. And ultimately knowing that what is that money worth today. All that is fund accounting. So in the world, there's two ways to make money. Either you have good businesses or you invest in good businesses.
Right.
There are a lot of people who want to invest in good businesses. So that is where fund accounting plays a role to make sure that whatever people are investing is accounted for.
Okay.
Now, the most important difference between accounting and fund accounting is specialized type of accounting, where you need to have knowledge of what the investment is happening into.
Okay.
For example, you're buying stocks versus buying bonds versus buying, derivatives. There is going to be different ways to record them in the books of accounts.
Right.
And everything is valued differently. Like bond will have an interest, so you will have to make sure that when you're accounting for it, you are noting down interest.
Right.
Whereas in general accounting, it's not, there's of course, the accounting is based for everything, but fund accounting would need that specialized knowledge. And then fund administration is a business in itself, which kind of hires these fund accountants and makes sure that they are administering that business. So all of the fund managers that want to do fund accounting, they generally hire fund administrators to make sure that they are the ones who are doing the job of accounting it and making sure that they're doing proper valuations for it and, having a consolidated net asset value of that investments. So in one line, if I have to summarize, fund accounting is a specialized knowledge of the accounting and valuation of what's that money worth that is being invested.
Okay, so that gives us a lot of clarity. So now that we know the meaning of fund accounting, let's get to the skills. So what are some of the non-negotiable skills that a fresher should have if he wants to land up a job in this field?
So generally speaking, the skills that we are looking forward are very basics, right? Like people should know the basics of accounting.
Okay.
People should know a little bit of Excel, because Excel is a tool which is very prominently used. People should know a bit of, technology, how to handle technology, writing skills. Like these are like basic things. But if you were to ask me, would they know 100% while they are studying? It's not required.
Okay.
What's required is to know the basics. And then, of course, they will learn a lot of these things on the job. They will know they'll get the practical exposure when they get to the job. So those skill sets are generally very limited to what you would offer in a curriculum to study. But more than that, there is a lot more that is on the job that people learn.
Okay, so just out of curiosity, if I give you two options, so which one would you hire? So a person who is sharp and is driven but has less technical knowledge versus a person who has good technical knowledge but is maybe not that driven. So who would you pick or hire?
That's a very good question with a straight answer. I had the first one.
Yeah.
The reason being, we do not need technically, superstars.
Right.
Technical knowledge gets built over the years, right? What you want is a basic.
Right.
Then the person who's more driven
Hmm.
will dynamically have the urge to learn more.
Learn more,
Will
right.
dynamically make sure that he or she is doing the job of understanding what needs to be done and is taking the initiative to do it, right? They'll be
Right.
curious, they'll be more owner, like they'll own things, they'll have
Right.
ownership skills.
Hmm.
So given all of that, I would take the first person naturally because they will do the job much better.
Pretty well.
A technical person without drive is not going to be, they'll not sustain very long.
Long.
They'll find it difficult to sustain.
Okay, so now we are aware of the fact that maybe technical knowledge can be learned over a period of time, but mindset is important, that
That's
you have the mindset to grow, then you're in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So the next question is, from your experience, what do you think is one of the mistakes that freshers usually commit?
So, see, one of the biggest mistakes I would say is not making mistake, right? They need to make mistakes, but make sure that they're attempting. That's
Right.
more important to the industry, right? But things like, people are generally worried about, oh, I did something incorrect. I'm supposed to be a fund accountant. My NAV is not mismatching. I don't know how to make a proper entry for this, or I don't know how to decipher this. So those are like smaller things. The
Okay.
bigger things are, what is the impact of what they are doing,
Hmm.
right? So do they understand the end deliverable that I'm making?
Okay.
That's a mistake which people should be worried about. They should understand what they are delivering, where does it go, how is it consumed, what are the readers of this information going to do of this. Unless they know that, they would be just worried about the mechanical errors that could happen.
Right.
What generally I would say people should work towards is understanding the impact of what they do.
Okay.
Once they do that, they would, one of the mistakes that they would do is they would be ready to take the risk of making mistakes, right? That is what I would generally prefer students to do.
Okay. So basically, does it also mean that you should take the ownership of thing and also be aware of what you're doing, right?
Yeah, be aware of what you're doing. Understand what I'm gonna do is gonna have an impact
Right.
of who's the ultimate consumer of my information.
Right.
So, for example, in fund accounting, if a person is doing accounting of the investments that have happened, who's going to read it? Your investors are going to read it because they
Right.
give you money with responsibility. So what would be investors' perspective? So if I'm just focused on to solving my day to day and moving on, I don't know the impact.
Right.
I don't understand what does this happen.
Hmm.
That will also impact the individual's growth because
Right.
they're just doing mechanically what they're supposed to do.
Of course. Okay, so with AI coming in picture, how do you think will fund accounting change?
So with AI coming in, there is a lot of buzz about, will AI take my job?
Right.
Like, is everyone worried that AI is coming? And
Right.
so I'll be the buzzkill over here, and I'll tell that, oh, AI is not taking anyone's job. AI is going to replace. So for example, there are redundant jobs which are mechanical.
Right.
Maybe like a reconciliation, extracting data out of large files, manually uploading some information, manually calculating some things. Those are the things that I think AI should actually take over from humans.
Okay.
And humans' job will be upskill as to analyzing that data that comes out of reconciliation, making sure you run a very good client communication about the data that has come out from using AI tools. So it isn't that AI is replacing fund accountants. That's not going to happen. The skill set or the job that you would have to do would change with AI. So the larger focus is to make sure that you people are adapting and getting adjusted with this ecosystem of AI.
Right.
Because any technology comes in, of course, it disrupts the market a bit. It, of course, makes sure that people are learning the new skills.
Right.
So there's AI is not taking fund accountant jobs, but the fund accountants who do not adapt to AI, those jobs are going away. So
Right.
people have to adapt to AI for that reason.
Okay, so what we do know is that evolving is the key. If you
Yes.
don't, then you're out of the
Of
game.
course, it's evolution has always happened over the
Right.
thousands of years of humanity.
Hmm.
Evolution has always happened, and it's very important to evolve with this technology.
Okay, so continuing this question, what are some of the tools that a fresher should definitely be aware of
Yeah.
and start learning?
So I don't know if you have noticed, but AI is about asking the right question.
Right.
What do you prompt? What do you ask AI to do?
Hmm.
That will be the thing.
Hmm.
So recently, I have learned things like there are people who don't know what is the right question to ask AI. So sometimes you go back and tell AI to say, "Hey, can you ask me the right question on this topic so that I'm able to answer what I know about it?"
Hmm.
And then we get to a conclusion of it, right?
Hmm.
Somebody goes ahead and says, they don't have to know how to draw a beautiful PowerPoint, but they need to know what needs to go on the PowerPoint.
Right.
So those are all prompting skills. Those are to be definitely something that people should learn how to prompt. And then, of course, like some basics of Python will be really valuable because
Okay.
technology-wise, AI is doing a bunch of things. But like if you have to write a tiny code to put up in an Excel sheet or embed it into some other place and make sure that you are doing some of these steps. So a bit of Python, knowing formulas, knowing a bit of complexity of what that formula does, all of that is going to be very valuable in terms of tools. Otherwise, if you would ask me, are there any tools that AI is offering to learn? No, there are a lot of AI tools. I don't want to name anyone, but like you can go ahead, prompt something, find out what an answer one tool is writing versus others and what they are doing. So yeah, largely I would say stick to the basics, know Excel, know Python, know few of these basic things to handle AI better.
Okay, so what I get from it is basically you should be good at prompts if you are
Yes.
willing to use AI, which
Yes.
people are nowadays
Yes,
because
yes.
it makes life easy.
Yeah.
And then Python is a plus point,
Of
and
course.
Excel is non-negotiable. Excel is
Excel is of
something one
course
should
very
know.
because see the adaptability of Excel over the years have been so much that people are very easily able to get to the things that an Excel can solve.
Right.
So yeah, those are the things.
Okay, sir. So my next question is, at Imperial, we are constantly trying to bridge the gap between academics as well as industry. Do you think such attempts will actually generate some talent for global companies as well as companies as Arcesium?
So that's a good question. See, academics definitely gets the base for everyone who needs to get into industry, but there is always a good gap. That gap will remain and should remain rather. That gap is you can teach people how to do fund accounting in academic environment. You can tell them how to use an Excel. You can tell them how to write a formula, how to create a Power BI dashboard. What you should not expect the students to know, or rather we should not expect the students to know is how to work in an actual real world environment in an organization.
Right.
What's the pressure that comes while you're working? There's a client timeline, deadline going on, and you are supposed to deliver something. How easily you can adapt to that stress, right? Those are the things that would be in an office setting only. How to do a good communication, right? Like there is a certain way a particular client is looking to do a communication.
Right.
So that is an adaptability thing, and that will always remain in industry. So, of course, I know your institute from a very long time. There's been great work being done. Directors are so adaptable to the courses, listening to the industry people. They've asked me so many times about how to make the curriculum better. It's really impressive. I was talking to the directors. They're trying to do more and more every day,
Right.
which is very good. But there's a healthy gap which I feel will remain between an industry and academic environment. And not just this institute, every institute would have that. So that's a very healthy gap. And those are the things that the students will come to the
Actually
industry
learn,
and learn it in the real world environment.
Okay, perfect. So, just to wrap it up, one last question that I have for you is, if a student or maybe a fresher wants to grow in a leadership role, what is one habit that he should inculcate or start practicing right now?
So it's a good wrap up question. The thing that I always tell people is the technical skills, the know how of how things work operationally can be all taught.
Okay.
You will tell them 10 different things. This you do, this you do. They'll do all of it, right? But those are all tasks, right?
Right.
What students would need to focus on is I take the ownership of the outcomes of what I do,
Okay.
right? So to me, ownership is one thing every student should start taking now. That's going to be very important.
Okay.
They go in an interview environment, whether it goes good or bad, doesn't matter. Do you own that? They take the ownership of it, right? That's going to be the most important thing.
Okay.
You can train students on the technical knowledge, as I was saying. What you cannot teach them is, how to take ownership,
Right.
how to be disciplined enough to do the same thing again
Repeatedly.
repetitively. Of course, people will make mistakes. They are supposed to make mistakes.
Right.
But how quickly you learn from your mistakes? How do you make sure that you do not repeat that mistake again? Right? Those are the things which the student should start practicing every day. It is going to be in the real life. It is going to be in your offices. It is going to be in specifics of fund accounting. But it's going to be very important to make sure that ownership is being taken of the outcomes of what you do. Do not focus about tasks. Do not worry about, whether this task is done correctly or not. Will I be able to do it or not? Whatsoever happens, you take the ownership of it. You learn from it, and you make sure if it's mistake happens, you do not repeat. That's how it will be.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So what I get from all the conversation that we had today is basically students should take ownership, or any person should take ownership. And also it is not about your technical knowledge, which is fine, we can get it done, but it is about the mindset, right?
Yep.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. I'm sure our students might have learned a lot through this conversation. So if you have any doubt or any questions related to this topic, please comment down below. Also, if you have any suggestion for our next podcast topic, you can just let us know. Again, thank you, sir, for your time. Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you.